Welcome back to another episode of Boxing Talk with Brian Mendoza. Today we're going to be touching on the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight that takes place in Miami, Florida on December 19th. Great undercard, which includes Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, Alycia Baumgardner, Layla Beaudoin. Great card, huh?
Yeah, very solid card. You know, got to put together some last-minute changes and stuff like that, but solid card to check out.
So Teddy Atlas goes on to say Jake Paul, right, has a chance, right? And he had he made some arguments that I kind of would agree with. He's been out of the ring. Anthony Joshua's been out of the ring for over a year. Who knows what type of weight he put on during that period, right? There's a 245-pound weight clause in it, in the fight. He needs, he may have had to drop 40, 50, 60 pounds in a very short period of time. What kind of a role will that play in this fight?
That's something that could make a factor. I don't personally know. I don't think I've seen Anthony Joshua, I've never seen him look fat or anything like that. So I don't know how much he really blows up. So it's going to depend on how healthy he was off season. And because that could play a factor. If you're losing, 40 plus pounds or whatever right before a short notice fight, that could definitely affect you. And I believe they have like a rehydration clause where he can't go over, I think it was 245.
Yes, correct.
So that's going to be interesting. That could all play a factor. And Jake Paul's obviously looking for that chance for any of those little advantages. But I still believe this is too much of a size difference and power difference to matter.
So on social media, we saw Jake Paul hitting the bag. I don't know if you saw that clip. It's been all over social media. He looked amazing. Bags don't hit back, right? But, he was hitting the bag. His footwork looked like it improved. He's a heavy puncher.
Yeah.
Right? Is there a chance that he can catch Joshua? Or is Joshua, just at a whole nother level?
Joshua's definitely at a whole nother level, but I'll give Paul a puncher's chance for sure. Just because, I saw a video of him some leak sparring where he actually dropped one of his heavyweight sparring partners, and so he's got power. He's working hard. I do give him credit. He's doing real training camps, bringing in real sparring partners. He's really going through it to get better each time out. I just still believe it's too early, too soon for this level of a matchup, because Joshua isn't just a power punching heavyweight, that doesn't know how to fight or something. He's an Olympic medalist. He's been through all the amateurs and tons of pro fights where he's been in there with elite fighters. So I really think the experience and the power and everything's too much. But at the end of the day, we still got to give Paul a puncher's chance.
Yeah. So Eddie Hearns goes on to say, hey, look at, this is a real fight, right? Joshua's coming in to knock him out early, right? My reputation's on the line, Eddie Hearn says, right? I'm not putting on phony fights. This is not fixed. This is a real fight. People get hurt. People die in the ring. And Jake Paul better be ready. Do you see Joshua coming in early and just dropping him?
I personally, I see more of like when he fought Ngannou. I think that type of fight may play out, where he just, the difference in experience and level and power. And so, everything is kind of against Paul. So I think that's kind of more of the fight I'm expecting. And like Eddie Hearn said, so as long as there's not some funny secret agreement or something like that going on, then I would put my money on Joshua for this one.
What round? What round would you say?
I'd say first, second
round.
Within the first three, very early.
Well, people can argue it's a money grab, which it is. They're pulling close to $100 million each. Jake Paul probably more. So, we get that. But anyways, regardless, it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm excited to watch it.
Oh, exactly.
The undercard, Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, MMA fighters turning boxers. What's up with that? Right?
Yeah.
We're seeing it's becoming more and more common.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, even with the Jake Paul and Joshua fight, it's a money grab. And a lot of times, for the MMA fighters, they're just not making that type of money in the UFC or whatever organization they're in within the MMA world. So they're coming over because the money's in boxing. They usually just pay more. They get more of a cut, from the whole show. And of course, and they're just fighters, So I know how to fight, we can. It's just about specializing and just throwing hands instead of no kicks or elbows and things like that. But it's interesting, man. So we're seeing a lot more different styles, you could say, coming over from the MMA world. But as long as the fights are interesting and the fans want to see it, it's I'm all for it.
Now, I know when you touch on you for a second. I know when you were in training, you've done some sparring with MMA fighters, right? I mean, do you see the difference? Can you tell the difference in
absolutely
in technique? It's not as polished.
You definitely, but
I mean, you trained with a tall fighter when you
Yeah.
fought Fundura, right?
Yeah.
Sebastian Fundura.
exactly. And well, for the training camp, I brought in Mike Fox, who is a boxer, but I just always gave credit to Tim Means. He's one of the most like OG fighters in the UFC. I think he's had like one of the longest contracts they've ever had, something like that. And he's a 6'2" southpaw that likes to bang, just comes forward and comes swinging. So I felt like, even early in my career when I was working with him back home in Albuquerque, it was preparing me for those moments like Fundora. And as much as I'm saying a lot of MMA fighters come in and they have like kind of strange styles or a little off, Tim Means can fight. He's known for having good hands and stuff like that. So it's a mix. Some fighters are better at it. There's just comes more naturally. Some of them focused a little more on their stand-up game. So when they're coming from the MMA world, you never really know what you're gonna get, but almost every time they're very durable fighters and they have heart and they just like to fight.
But do they have the stamina? Right. I mean, this is very different from MMA. Do they have the stamina?
I think so. They're coming in from the 5-minute rounds, and even when I used to help my MMA friends in Albuquerque with their 5-minute rounds, you would definitely feel it. And even if it was just 5 minutes or the 3 5s, whatever it was, that you definitely feel those rounds. So I think the thing about MMA fighters is they come in with good conditioning and like just that grit. They're just used to kind of going through these wars. So you always know you're going to be in a fight. It's just about they may not be as coordinated because they didn't specialize in just the one boxing aspect of it, like it is mixed martial arts. So there's just more of a balance with other sports. But when it comes to boxing, they're just not as coordinated, as well-rounded with it.
Yes.
But outside of that, they definitely have the grit, the heart, the conditioning, and stuff like that.
So Silva and Woodley both faced Jake Paul, right? And Woodley faced him twice, right? I think he got dropped early, out cold. I think in the second fight. How do you see this fight playing out between those two guys?
It's kind of interesting, especially like the fact that they're both. It's not a boxer versus an MMA fighter. They're both coming in from that world. But I would give Anderson Silva a lot more credit because he's had more boxing fights. He's actually beat some fighters. He beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Correct.
And he has more of that experience. And we saw when Woodley was in there with Jake Paul, he wasn't as comfortable. He kind of doubted himself. He wouldn't let his hands go as much, which I guess is something that he's known to do in some fights. So I'll kind of give Silva the edge in this one just because of the experience. He's like I said, some MMA fighters don't have that full boxing experience. Silva's been, getting these fights and getting the reps in. So he's got the up on the experience on this one.
Brian, I'm interested in seeing how that's going to play out. Alycia Baumgardner, right? Layla Beaudoin, right? That ought to be exciting. Alycia Baumgardner came off of, she fought back in July, Madison Square Garden on the Serrano Taylor undercard. She faced Jennifer Miranda, where I thought it was a very, very close fight. Yeah. So coming into it with Beaudoin, I mean, how do you see that fight playing out? I mean, do you think Alycia is going to have some of the same challenges that she had with Miranda?
I think so, and I think regardless, it's going to be a barn burner for sure. Their styles, they both like to come forward and just come swinging, and they're trying to take you out, from the first bell to the last bell. So it's going to be interesting, and I think Layla doesn't have as many knockouts, but she still fights like she does. She fights like she has that power, so you definitely have to be careful with her. So I think it's going to just be a kind of a slugfest that lasts, a few rounds at most. So I think it's going to be just a very interesting fight.
And that's what we saw with the Miranda fight. Right. Baumgardner really didn't start, up until the later rounds. I mean, it was close. It was even.
Yeah.
So they're 2-minute rounds. Which goes very, very quickly. Considering that these are 2-minute rounds, what could Baumgardner do different than she did with Miranda?
Just not start her slow. She really has to, step on the gas, and especially with someone like Layla, she's gonna be trying to, from that first bell, just trying to come swinging for the fences. So you don't want to give those early rounds away. And like you said, 2 minutes goes by very fast. So you don't want to say like, oh, like I'll get started halfway through and it may be too late. Your opponent may have too much momentum, and so that I think that's gonna be her main goal, is to just not start it slow and kind of get going.
Brian, thanks again for all the input. We appreciate it. Please follow us on social media, all social media platforms at Boxing VIP Network. You can also visit us at our website at boxingvip.com. Thank you.